What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Dylan Grubb here with Extreme.Outdoorsmen. If you guys are new here to the channel, make sure to go hit that subscribe button for me. Help me at 7,000 subs. I would really appreciate it. I'm almost there, only like 200 subs away, so make sure to go tell your friends and family to hit that subscribe button. But in today's video, I'm actually going to be teaching you guys how to spool braided line onto a spinning reel. I've been getting all kinds of messages lately in DMs to film videos like this, how-to videos like how to spool braid on a bait caster, how to spool braid onto a spinning reel, just a bunch of how-to videos, because obviously I can't do a ton of fishing right now, and that is because most of the lakes are freezing over here in Michigan and the ice isn't super thick yet, maybe like 2 to 3 inches. So right now I'm just going to be filming a bunch of how-to videos, so hopefully you guys like these. But like I said, in today's video I'm just going to be covering how to spool braid onto a spinning reel, and this is always a great video for beginning guys that are just getting into bass fishing. So it's always good to know how to spool braid onto a bait caster or how to spool braid onto a spinning reel. So make sure to stay tuned for today's video if you guys want to learn how to spool the braid onto the spinning reel. Let's get right into the video. Also, guys, before we get into today's video, I just wanted to quickly mention, as you guys can see, it is getting super cold here in the Midwest, and if you guys are in search of a new beanie, a new winter hat, I just came out with these new hats. Extreme.Outdoorsmen beanies. They're super nice. I really like them. I'm going to leave the link in the description below if you guys want to pick up an Extreme.Outdoorsmen beanie. Really nice beanies. I'm really excited about them, but I just wanted to quickly mention that. So let's get into today's video and show you guys how to spool braid on a spinning reel. Well, guys, I just got everything set up to show you guys how to spool the braided line on the spinning reel, and this is super easy, guys. If you follow the steps that I show you in today's video, you're gonna have no problem spooling the braid on your line. And this is pretty much everything you need for this process. It's super simple. You only need like 4 or 5 things. I got a wet rag. I'll show you guys why I need that. I got my braid, some mono for backing, something to cut the line, and then also the reel and the rod. So first off, guys, the number one thing you want to do, you always want to do this, it's super important, you always want to have mono for your backing line, because if you guys just put the braid on the spool, it's gonna slip all around on the spool and it's not going to be able to grip to that spool. So you want to put at least like 2 or 3, you want to at least fill up the whole entire first layer with mono, just so that braid will grip to the mono and really grip on there super tight and not be able to slip on your spool. So that's the number one important thing. If you get anything out of this video, make sure to always have backing line on your reel when you're spooling braid on. So right now I got this line right here. I just got it on an old spool, but it always works out when you need backing line when you're putting on braid. So right now I'm just gonna cut this little thing. So first off, when you're spooling your spinning reel, if you guys can see this first eye right here, you want to put your line through the first eye. You probably can't see that mono filament line right there, but it's pretty small. And another quick tip, you always want to make sure that your spool is open when you tie your line around here. I've done this plenty of times where I just tie it on and start reeling, and obviously that is not going to do anything. You have to make sure your bail is open. So right now what I'm doing, I'm basically just tying an overhand knot right to this spool. And when you're tying this knot, you want to make sure it's as tight as possible to the spool. You don't want any slack. So I'm probably going to tie maybe like 2 or 3 knots right here, just to make sure that it's super secure. So right now I'm just tying this backing line on the spool. So right now, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the line, or the backing line, is on the spool right now. It's tied on there. I'm maybe gonna make another quick knot just to make sure that it's super tight. And also, guys, this knot, this very first knot that you're making, it doesn't have to be crazy, because In my opinion, if a fish takes out all your line all the way to this knot right here, if it spools you that far, you're in trouble, guys. I don't think that's ever gonna happen with any fish that I'm gonna be catching, but you never know. Maybe if you get down in Florida or somewhere, maybe like a tarpon would spool you all the way out. But right now I have my first knot tied on the spool, and there's some extra line right here, and you want to cut it as close as you can to that knot. So right now I'm just gonna grab the cutters and cut that line right up next to that knot. Easy as that. So right now I have my backing line on here, and when you're reeling this up, you want to make sure that your line is right above this first eye, so it's just flowing right up here, and it's going to be able to go on to your reel super smooth. When you're putting the backing line on, you want to put some tension on it to be able to get it on pretty tight on the spool. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this line right up here and just crank it on. And like I said, you don't want to spool too much on here because you want to be able to put your braid on, obviously. So you just want to cover this whole entire spool. So I'm going to do that right now. So right now I'm just cranking on the line. So I've got a decent amount on there. I think that's good enough. I don't know if you guys can see that or not right there, but I got a pretty solid layer of backing line on there. So that was a super simple method right there. Now all you're gonna do is cut your line and then attach your braid. So right now I'm just cutting this backing line. I'm gonna tie this knot really quick and we'll see you guys back in a sec. Well, I just finished up tying that knot. I'm not 100% sure if you can see it, but I just tied the backing line to the braid, and like I said, I'm putting 40-pound braid on this big spinning reel. I'm gonna be headed down to Florida in a couple weeks, so I just figured this reel is just sitting around. I figured I'd put it on this rod and spool some thick line on it. Just if I'm gonna be catching some big bass, I want to make sure that I'm not going to break off. So I'm using 40-pound fishing line, and I don't know if you guys have seen this line before, but it's literally called line. Make sure to go check it out. Right now I'm just going to be showing you guys how to spool the braid on the reel. It's super simple. When you're putting the braid on, you want to make sure that this is right over this eye, just like I said before, because it's just going to be able to fall off this super easy. And this is clockwise, and you want to have this clockwise, so it's just going to be falling off right up to the spool. So right now you just want to get a few cranks of braid on there, just like that. So now that I got some braid on the spool, I just covered a little bit of that backing line. You're going to want to grab this wet rag, and always when you're putting braid on, this is really important, you want to really crank it on so it's super tight. You want to make sure that you're getting enough braid on the spool so you can make those long casts. You want to make sure that there's enough on there, like I said, so you can make those long casts. If you don't put enough braid on, you're not going to be able to cast your lures super far, and it's just not going to perform like it's supposed to. So you want to get your braid like an 1/8 or a 1/16 of an inch to this lip right here, if you guys can see that, right to that lip. So I'm gonna really crank this braid on tight. I'm using this wet rag because if I was just to pinch it with my fingers like that, it's probably gonna burn my fingers, and that's not the best feeling. So I usually use this wet rag or just a cloth, whatever you have, and just hold it on there, get it right into the braid. And like I said, you always want to make sure that this is right over this eye right here. So I'm just gonna start cranking it on. It's super simple method, guys. So I want to make sure that the line is going on there smooth. So right now I don't know if this is gonna fall. It might fall, but I'm just gonna crank this on all the way to this lip, like a 1/16 or of an 1/8 inch to the lip. So I'm gonna crank it on. Yep, there it went. It just fell right into the snow. Well guys, I was just cranking on the braid right there and my spool fell down, so I'm actually just gonna leave it down there in the snow and crank it on just like that. It's right over this eye down there on the ground, but I figured it'd be easier just to leave it down there and crank this on. But right now I'm just cranking it on there pretty good. It's going on there super good with that wet rag. Make sure to keep it pretty tight, because like I said, you want to make sure the braid is getting on there as tight as possible. You don't want any kinks or anything in the braid, because that's easily gonna cause a bird's nest in your line. So right now I'm just cranking it on there, and it's going on super smooth. It looks really good. Well, I think that is gonna end the braid. It's not 100% full, but I just used all the line that was on that spool of braid. So you guys can see that right there, that it's not all the way full. I'm probably gonna have to get some other braid and tie it to this braid to fill this up, but I just wanted to show you in today's video how to spool the braid on the spinning reel, and just another method to get the braid super tight on your reel. When you get out on open water, you want to get like a crankbait or some type of lure, maybe like a chatterbait, and tie it on and just cast it off into the water and just idle forward and let your line out maybe like 50 to 100 yards. And when that line is way back there, you're gonna crank it in, and that is gonna allow your line to get on the spool super tight. And that's just another method how I like to get my braid on the reel. But so right there guys, you obviously see that I probably need a little more braid like I was saying, but I just wanted to go over in today's video how to put it on. I might put some more braid on this reel. I'm not even 100% sure if I'm gonna use this while I'm down in Florida, but I just wanted to rig it up and show you guys how to spool braided line on a spinning reel. So if you guys like today's video, make sure to go give it a thumbs up, and also leave a comment in the comments what you guys thought, or more how-to videos, or just more video ideas I should be doing in the winter time. I'm going to be trying to make some ice fishing videos here soon. I think I'm going to go out in the next week or so, maybe spearing with one of my buddies, or maybe just go setting some tip-ups for some big northern pike up here in Michigan. So I'm pretty excited about it, and I am also excited to be down in Florida in a couple weeks. So hopefully you guys learned some tips on how to spool braided line on a spinning reel. We'll see you guys in the next one.